guys? This is Hank Saber from Saber Selections, shagging you guys a Nekroz Deck Profile. Pretty fun, pretty cool. Obviously the best deck at the moment and should be for some time to come. And so I am giving you guys my deck profile. It's not as straightforward as every other deck profile. A few selections here and there. And so let's get into the deck profile. So, to start off my Nekroz list, we're going to go in sort of, I guess the boss monsters first. We are going to go to my favorite card, Nekroz of Trishula, along with Decisive Armor and Nekroz of Gungnir. I still think all three of these cards are relevant, obviously Trishula, but Decisive Armor I still think is really good against certain decks. I mean, is really your only answer to towers. I mean, if you can get a Nekroz monster out in the field and then Decisive Armor it over their killer, it's you know, kind of your only out to it. So that's my choice. I run it, and Nekroz of Gungnir is just like your MVP against rogue matchups. Like, they just can't get over this card. It destroys a card basically every turn, during their turn, during your turn. So it's pretty hard for them to get over it, and I run that. So that's pretty much the boss monsters. Then we move on to the other guys. The Searcher, Nekroz of Birdman. I'm kind of happy this went to 2 because, well, I never really bought the third. But, you know, still a great card nonetheless. Makes your searches so much easier. Makes your plays run rampant. Just a great card. And its effect to just blow 2 extra cards back. It's so good. Nekroz will be so good for such a long time just because of Bionic. I mean, extra deck monsters will never go away, and there's be so many decks out there that just rely on extra deck monsters. Look at Yang Zing, they rely on their synchros. So being able to blow back 2 at once is just phenomenal. So 2 Brian X, and then I run 2 copies of Nekroz of Valkyrius. Nekroz of Valkyrius is a great card, don't get me wrong. I don't run 3 because I don't like drawing 2 in my opening hand. I just think it's bad. I think you could search it just as easy. I also don't like wasting a lot of my resources in the graveyard, so banishing a card kind of hurts me to just negate an attack. Don't really want to do that too many times, but the play where you just start up, go for Valkyrius, send cards to the graveyard and draw cards, it's just a great play, so it's just worth running 2 of it. So 2 Valkyrius. Then moving on to the smaller guys, I just run 3 copies of Unicorn. You know, try to get the third one on shot there. And then I run the 1 Nekroz of Colossus. I run this at 2 for a long time. People were saying I run it at 1. And I was kind of the first to challenge that. I still thought it was good at 2. But, you know, they were right. Lo and behold, the Nekroz spell cards are, you know, very searchable by themselves. And, well, you don't really need the other Colossus, in my opinion. You can always use the same one for the Jinlock, you know, with Necro Cycle. So very, you know, still very accessible at 1. So that's my ritual lineup. I then go into my other monsters. I run 2 copies of Shrit. I tested 3, clogged a lot, I'm not gonna lie. And then I run 1 Dance Princess. Dance Princess. And oh my gosh, the thing with Dance Princess is I've cut it so many times. I've cut it like maybe 3 or 4 times. It just, when I go to a tournament and I don't run Dance Princess, it's like the time I need it the most. You know, I need the out to Jinlock, I need the search Dance Princess, search Decisive Armor, and get over the Jinlock. It's a searchable way to get over the Jinlock and so many other things, or get over big beaters. Just a great card, and it's also good, you know, if you want to make sure your specials go through. A very nice card. And then I run 3 copies of Manju, and only 2 copies of Senju. I don't really love the third. I think it can clog. I don't want too many normal summons with just the Manju Senju, so I just think that, you know, 3 and 2 is good enough. And then the card that I waited so long to make this deck profile because it like never arrived in the mail, finally did, and Dudenko Sekka. Dudenko Sekka I think should definitely be mained. I think it's just so good this format. Obviously you sided out against Nekroz, oh my gosh, Nekroz, and Dudenko Sekka is just a great card, and except against Nekroz, it's almost like a win condition. So 2 Dudenko Sekka, and then for my last monsters, I run 1 copy of Dijin, Releaser of Rituals, obviously Jinlock, and then my little personal tech for the deck is Jankzelli Birdman. Now I run Jankzelli Birdman because I really like going first turn, like the standard Dijin lock, instead of going Dijin though. Because Dijin lock is actually really bad if you go second, which you want to go second most of the time because you run the Denko Sekas. But the ideal going second play is to open up with your standard, board of 2 level 4s when you're about to go to the Jin lock. But instead, what you do is if you have Birdman in hand, you bounce back your Manju or Senju, so this way you can use it again next turn. So this way you're left with a Birdman and a Unicorn, and you go into... You would go into Black Rose, and so Black Rose will clear their field, they would go incredibly minus, and they would have a tough time recovering from that. And again, you still have your Manju for next turn, or you maybe still can get off of another Ritual Summon, and just a great card. And also, since you're clearing your own field, you can also search another mirror. So another, just a great tech has been working really well for me. I've tested this list on Deanna a lot, and only 2 losses with this deck particularly, so it's a great card. I love Birdman in main. I really do. And so, for the spells, obviously we run a lot of them. I run 2 copies of Nekroz Kaleidoscope. I run 2 copies of Nekroz Mirror. 2 copies of Nekroz Cycle. 1 copy of Preparation of Rites, and 2 copies of Reinforcement of the Army. Obviously, we only are playing 3 targets for Rhoda, but again, we want to get them as soon as possible. So being able to search your shrits, and search your Colossus is pretty good. And then we main board 2 MST because we have Denko Seka, and then we have the Oustajin. We have 1 Raigeki, 2 Dark Hole, 1 Book of Moon, and 1 Book of Eclipse. So that's it for the spells. And then for the traps, we just made the 2 copies of Mind Crush, because if you're going to a large tournament and you know there's going to be a lot of Necros, a lot of Clay Forts, a lot of heroes, stuff like that, you want to be able to mainboard those Mind Crushes, and if you ever go first, just a great way. Jin Lock, Mind Crush is just auto win, you automatically win. It's just such a good thing, because you can just you can Mind Crush a possible out, just such a great card. So that's it for the main deck. For the extra, I'm going to go into really quickly. I run 1 copy of the Lavalval Chain, just an MVP of the extra deck. 1 copy of Castell. 1 copy of 101. 1 Exiton Knight. 1 at Cowboy. The 103 Ragnar Zero, because of if you're playing your Senju and they have tanky, it's auto win. And then I have a Diamond Dyer, and then of course the mandatory number 80 Rhapsody in Berserk. So that's it for the XZs. For the Synchros, I run 2 copies of Herald Arclight. I run 1 level 6 Dragoon Knight Vajrayana, because heck, it's a Dragoonity. 1 Black Rose for your Birdman. 1 Stardust for level 8. 1 10 in the form of Leo. And of course, 1 Star Eater. And being able to make it with Birdman, all of them, pretty much all of them, with Birdman, just kind of cool. And then of course, for the 112, I run 1 5-headed Dragon, just because I think it's the coolest one. So, yeah. The 1 card I don't own right now is Dagusto Emerald. I just don't think it's that necessary. I don't own one, but even if I did, I don't know what I would take out. I don't think it's not that mandatory. So I think most of the time, if you're behind that much, you're not going to come back. But hey, you know what? I never tested it, so I probably want to add that in next time. So anyway, again, the side deck. This is the one deck I'll do side. I run 2 Artifact Lancia, just because it's really good to chain to their Necro Mirrors. Then I run 3 copies of Shared Ride, just because it's like a new maxi. And then I run the 1 Prohibition, because not Prohibition, Book of Eclipse. Book of Eclipse is just a great out, so if you face Necros, being able to sign in an extra one's kind of good. And then I run 2 Prohibition. Prohibition is actually kind of weird. People asking me why I run it. Prohibition I run because they're able to basically Prohibition their Kanahawk or Kama 2 or whatever. You just stop their plays. They don't get to play Yu-Gi-Oh! There's so many decks out there that just rely on 1 card and being able to make their plays go through. So obviously you sign enough against your mirror match that if you just side these against the other decks, like, you're pretty good. Like, you just activate Prohibition, you know, say Scout, and they like auto lose because now they have 2 Scout and 3 ways to search Scout, and not many decks main deck 3 MST anymore, so they have to waste it on this pretty much. So, like, it's kind of good. I really like Prohibition. I was running Kaiser Coliseum before, but decided to cut it. Then I run 2 copies of Stygian Dirge. I run, oh, somehow the 1 MST. I run another MST, so that's it for the spells. The Stygian Dirge, I run 2 copies of Fairy Wind, and of course, the good old Royal Decree. So that's it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it with my little bit of a, you know, kind of like a little bit of a slightly different deck profile for Nekroz. I really like the Birdman idea. I think it's really good. I think if you haven't tried it out, I think it's definitely worth it. It's just so usable. You can use it to synchro summon. You can use it for food for Colossus, or like if you're ritual summoning a monster. So just a generally good idea. So tell me what you guys think. I think it's a generally good build. I've won a lot with it. I haven't been to many events with it yet, but I'm looking to do that soon. So again, tell me what you guys think. Drop a like if you enjoyed it. Share with your friends. Become a Saber Select by subscribing, and you know, just stay tuned for more content to come. If you guys are looking to just check out more meta decks, check out my Clayford deck, check out my Burning Abyss deck, and even Infernoids I think is good enough, and of course some fun stuff like X-Sabers, Dragoonities, my Gearges, my UAs, a lot of that stuff. So make sure you guys all check that out on my channel, and for now, this is Hank Saber saying goodbye. Goodbye.